25 years ago, SVT and Ford came up with one of the coolest Mustangs ever, in my opinion. These things are awesome. They only made 300 of them in the year 2000, and it's one of those low production cars that you might not have heard of. This is the 2000 Mustang SVT Cobra R. Ford and SVT were not messing around whenever they came up with this. It was meant to compete with the Corvette Z06 at the time, and they even brought in NASCAR owner Jack Roush to help develop this car. Not only did this car look fast, but it was fast. Powered by a 5.4 liter dual overhead cam V8, making 385 horsepower and 385 foot-pounds of torque, it would propel that thing from 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds and also clocking a quarter mile at 13.2. And at the time, it was the fastest production Mustang ever. So a quick note about the power numbers. Evidently, there were independent dyno tests done as well for these that said that this car was actually making about 380 wheel horsepower, not crank, wheel horsepower, which means well over 400 from the factory out of that 5.4 V8. Some other notable features of the Mustang SVT Cobra R were the Tremec T56 transmission, awesome, you got a 6-speed. You got some big old Brembos up front, which actually were cooled by those ducts. Those were not fog lights, those were brake ducts that would cool those big old 13-inch 4-piston Brembo brakes. And Eibach stepped up to the plate as well with the suspension, and you got Eibach front and rear springs and shocks, and it also dropped the car down about 1 inch to 1.5 inches front and rear. Other notable features of this car are actually the color, and they only came in red. So all 300 units that were produced of this are that performance red color that you see there. Other things that are unique to this car are the front splitter, the giant rear wing, that side exhaust, which they did because they literally couldn't put rear exit exhaust on this. They have a fuel cell in the back, so the only way they could get the exhauster out was in front and the rear tires, which to me is a win because it's more race inspired. I personally really like that. Now, the cowl induction hood was for that giant air intake that you saw in a previous photo. And man, overall, this package with that front splitter, just the whole way it's designed, to me, is such a mean looking Mustang. And I've mentioned that this thing was race car inspired, right? So you didn't get a rear seat, you didn't get air conditioning, you did not get cruise control, you didn't have a radio. You had some bucket seats, strap in, tighten them belts up one more time, and boogity, boogity, boogity. That's all you were doing in that car. It's hard for me to believe that this car is 25 years old now. I still have the Car and Driver magazine in which it was tested against a Z06 Corvette. And I remember the MSRP, which was $55,000, which is a lot of car for 55 grand. You basically got a race car back in 2000 for $55,000. Now it got me curious as to what they're fetching today, which is about 100 grand on average. But man, for the cool factor that you get, they're already 25 years old. These are going to be huge collectibles in the future. I think it's an investment right now.